Wait, you were not there then, right? Obviously
I
not,
was
not
there.
when
I
they
was
found
there
it,
then.
but-
In fact, I was there when he was overthrown.
No way, really?
Yeah. We're evacuating you, and the next day we're waking up at 4 a.m. We're driving to like a military airfield base, and they're gonna evacuate you to Singapore. It was clean. It was like being back in Vienna. The people are rude, so it's like really being back in Vienna.
My guest today is Ali Hasnain. He's from India and Pakistan and is a stand-up comedian in Vienna. We started with stand-up around the same time, organized a show early on in our hometown of Vienna, and hosted the Kimchi Curry podcast, which was highly controversial. I love you. I'm gonna say that on the podcast. I love you.
I love you too, dude. I love you.
My mom doesn't want me to say this on the podcast, I think. She already told me, like, oh, it's a bit too gay. And today we talk about fleeing from riots in Indonesia, our crazy week doing comedy together, and the Kimchi Curry podcast. Let's dive in.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. Ali, a very, very well-known, familiar face of our podcasts. So, my guest today is Ali Hasnain, one of my closest buddies. We started comedy around the same time, and we had our podcast together during COVID, and we did around 50 episodes or so. Right? It was 30, 35 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cool and it was fun. We were in two different cities as we are now, and it was so much fun, dude. Really, the most fun I had with stand-up was with you that one week you came to visit. So, anyways, we gotta get to that. Welcome to the podcast. It's so great to see you. And do you wanna tell the story of of that week when we started with comedy?
Well, it's great to see you as well, Pascal. I'm sorry. We scheduled this episode, like, I think we were trying for like a week or two to get this episode done. And it's like everyone is so busy, I guess. So we fitted it in, and I've been sick for like the last 4 days. So if I like cough in between things or if I blow my nose, just cut it out. Use some CGI to
it
get
will
rid
be
of
there.
that.
It will stay in that. Dude, you told me already yesterday you're sick and that might be an issue, but you seem super fit. And I think that's I think that's a testament to your fitness level.
Okay, thank you.
I'll into that because
I feel
yeah.
pretty good because like this morning my girl and I was like, look at my hair, because my hair was like this, like as if I'd been sleeping for 4 days, which is kind of what I've been doing, and I had like the craziest bed hair. And I was like, oh, look at this. This looks terrible. I need to be I need to get my hair fixed for the podcast. Otherwise, it looks like I've just been lying in bed. And she was like, dude, you look great. And now you're saying it as well. So I think you guys, the people closest to me, are like boosting my spirits, are trying to keep my spirits high. It's very
You look
nice
great,
of you
man.
guys.
I mean, since you already kind of fit actually when we met, but then you really got into one particular person. Can you actually share? We also used to be we both also connected so well because we're both into this guy here in the back.
A quick question, dude. Do you
Arnold.
remember if in the last pod we went through the story of like how I went to Berlin and how we spent that week like going to open mics and stuff? Did we ever like go through that story step by step? Because I don't think we did, which is kind of strange.
I don't think so. We had the Kimchi Curry pod. I don't even know how we started the podcast, but we were obviously talking a lot during COVID. We really phoned every day, I feel like. And then we were like, why don't we record this? That was kind of the start.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I think you were also working with something somewhat like a podcast adjacent related. So you had a little bit of
Oh yeah. Because our I was in a just before. I mean, you met the guys. I was looking for a startup that we did audio based stuff, and then after I left, they pivoted into podcasting, and then so I was kind of connected to it. And yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, I remember we did the first episodes even without filming. We just did audio, and the audio was horrible.
Yeah,
but it was really fun. I remember
the first the first 5 episodes were. I remember there was some episode where we were like, I think it was something like some president of the U.S.
Yeah, Eleanor Roosevelt. We talked about Eleanor Roosevelt. Franklin D.
Franklin D. Exactly.
Oh my god. That's
Uh,
not it's not such childish that was the best.
yeah, but anyways, it was
Dude,
pretty
there was so
epic.
many
Like
fun. Yeah.
we were, I mean, the way I remember it is
Remember
that,
this?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Amazon,
Yo,
yeah.
Guy was on. Guy was. Oh man.
So,
That really.
the way I remember it is that we, um, well, so like I'm, your brother-in-law, so your sister's, boyfriend, well, husband now. I went to school with him, and when he met his girlfriend, I became good friends with her, which is your sister. And then we were playing this game called Pandemic, which I can really recommend to people.
Yes.
Pandemic Legacy.
We
It's a
played
great
it
game.
pre-pandemic, by the way.
We played it pre-pandemic, exactly. It's
Yeah.
this great game where you're like, you can play 2 to 4 players. You're battling this virus or several viruses across the world, and it like progresses over months. So you play it like 12 to 20 times, and there's a whole story. It's really great. And like the last 3 or 4 months, we were playing together. Like you had come to visit for 2 weeks or something like that, and we were playing it together. That's also the cool thing. People can come and go. You don't have to always play with the same people.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, it was so much fun.
around the end of that of your trip, we were talking, and I had done comedy like stand up. I had done maybe like 10 sets or 12 sets, something like this over a year. And you were like, yeah, you were like very interested, and you were telling me about how there's so much comedy in Berlin. And from my perspective, you were just informing me about it. And then before you left, you said, hey, why don't you come to Berlin and you can go do a bunch of comedy sets and just stay at my place. And I said that, oh, how nice. Like this guy is like really supportive. He's in like he's invited me to just hang out and stuff, whatever. So then I at some point we like talked, and then we organized, and I said, yeah, these and these dates, and I went to this must have been, was it 2018 or 2019? I think it was 2019.
It was 2019. Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was 2019. Summer 2019.
Exactly, 2019. Then summer of 2019, I come to Berlin, and then we're like chatting and stuff, and you're like, yeah, we can sign up. In fact, I think because you had sent me all the places to sign up to beforehand, so I'd signed up to everything. I had my schedule, and I think only when I arrived in Berlin or at your place, I realized, oh, you want to like do it together. Like also you're doing comedy. Yeah,
You knew. Oh.
no, if I remember correctly, I may be misremembering. Maybe I noticed already when you sent me the list of the things, but I seem to recall it was something like really late. I realized, oh, actually, you want to do comedy as well, and you wanted to do it together,
Right.
which makes more sense than you being like, hey, let me come watch you do a lot of
Dude, imagine the research a host would have done. These are the shows you can sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, no means.
I was like, this guy's the nicest guy ever. Like he's, he's invited me to stay at his place. He's doing all the research for me. But anyways, but yeah, then we had the most like
Yeah.
epic 1 week, kind of. I mean, it was a holiday for me. For you, it was like a work
Dude, I was
holiday, I guess.
so tired. Like I remember you when you paid visit, when you arrived, you had immediately come to my office at my coworking space, and then I think you left your stuff there, and then yeah, you were browsing through Berlin. And then I remember I was so tired because every night we would go to bed at 3 a.m. or something because we'd still chill after the shows, and we're so buzzing because I had just started with comedy uh like a week before, I think, something like that. And then or 2 weeks before, and then you also just started like a few months before that or 1 year. But
I think the first, so it was like for me, it was like 10 sets over like a year. So the first year I did one set, and then it took me, and then I did another one 2 weeks later, and then it took me like 6 months to do any more. And then it was like very sporadic until we did our Berlin thing.
dude, it was so much fun. Do you remember? And then that was the first time in getting used to doing like 4 sets a week or whatever it was at the time, and we were exhausted. I remember dude, it was so much fun, but it was so exhausting.
Yeah, like doing 3 minutes on stage was like, oh my god, dude, what an adrenaline rush.
And I remember we were buzzing after, especially Cosm Comedy, which is at the time, I mean, still kind of is the biggest show in Berlin. And we were buzzing because we both did so well. And then we're like, oh, this is so awesome, it's great. And then we had this other show. I think that was our final show together. No, it was not the final show, but we had a show in La Minga, it's called.
Yeah.
And dude, we bombed so hard.
Well, I
That
bombed
was
so hard,
painful.
I bailed. I bailed.
He did, but I see it as a victory because I remember you even did an act out of you turning your back on the audience and you putting your hand on the wall. I thought that was a funny shit. I mean, when we just met 2 weeks ago, we looked at it again and I was dying, man. It was so good. You really committed, you know? That was fucking amazing.
You gotta commit, dude. You gotta commit 100%.
And hey, that week you were the one. I never really liked shisha actually, and I'm still not the biggest fan. But you showed me some good places in Berlin. I was like, wow, this is actually nice.
Dude, Berlin is the, like, in Vienna we have like, there's like 4 shisha places you'll know of, and like one of them is good, but also only on like Thursdays or Fridays, and like the rest of the days they can't figure it out. But in Berlin, it's like there's a whole street full of shisha bars, and the shishas were
amazing.
Were amazing. Yeah, exactly. So
Dude,
it was
a cool time when it was so much fun. I remember I laughed so hard. It was also perfect because my flatmate had just moved out, I think. So you had your own room. And so we had a privacy, we could chill. And at the same time, I remember after the bombing, I laughed so hard because there were so many things. Like we had the footage of our sets, and I kept looking at the audience members because there were, I think on footage we had 5 of the audience members on footage.
That one was filmed in a perfectly, because we were sitting on the side.
Yeah.
And we had set up our camera on the side so that it basically had a panoramic view with like the stage on the left, and then a panoramic view of like the audience sitting on the floor, because it was like a floor. There was like floor seating on the floor of the space. And I'm not even sure if these people, now thinking about it, if they knew that there was a comedy show happening, or if they were just there to chill or whatever.
I don't know.
They
It's
seemed
a cool
super,
bar, and
they seemed super confused, and it was also very hot that day.
yeah,
There was like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
It was very.
and they were friendly, but man, you could see the disappointment in their eyes. And so I remember we got home at like 3 a.m. or something, and because it was hot, both of our windows were open. I remember I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard. You were like, what are you laughing at?
Can you share? I can share. Oh my god, I can share my screen, right?
I don't know actually.
I think I can, because there's a thing over here.
Screen
Let me
share. Yeah,
just-
if you wanna.
Okay, well, just keep talking for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. So that will also. By the way, do you know if your audio is connected to the microphone?
I'm pretty sure it is, because I picked
Okay.
that one. So
Okay, perfect.
it should be using my microphone.
Dude, so what are your experiences, your memories of our podcast also together?
I think, well, I mean, the Franklin D is obviously a highlight. Where we're giggling about the fact that Franklin Roosevelt has has the initial D between his first and last name. And I think it was like a good half-minute giggle that we had about it, right? It was like the teaser for one of our
promo. We had some good. I feel like we had a good intro, because the reason why it's called Kimchi Curry is because we had a Christmas show. We did a show together in Vienna. It was like a Christmas show, just like a day before Christmas or something. And we planned it pretty much last minute, like a week or something like that. And we invited so many of our friends. And then in the end, it was an awesome show. It was a really cool show. And then I remember we had the recording of the people chanting Kimchi or something like that, right? And then we used it as a podcast intro. So we had a good intro and outro, actually. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, it was really fun. I remember we talked about a lot of stuff, and Dude, I still think about it like once a month. Do you remember the guy, your guitar coach? No, not your guitar coach, but you used to follow this guy on YouTube who did.
Yeah, the chord, the B chord. Yeah, there's this very famous YouTuber. He's like really good looking and he has perfect hair, perfect beard. And I haven't seen him. I don't know if I subscribe to him and that's why I don't see his videos anymore. But yeah, he's great. And all Dutch people can speak English. Like a higher percentage of Dutch people speak English than Canadians
Mm.
because Canadians have like a
Oh, the
contingent of
French.
French speaking people who refuse to learn English.
Right. Dude, that's crazy. I don't know. I thought the French Canadians also speak English, just with an accent, I guess.
I think that a lot of them, I don't know what the
Just
percentage is,
refuse.
a lot of them do, but there's literally like parts of Canada, I guess mostly in Quebec, or that are just French speaking and they just don't speak English.
Oh man. Did I coming back to that? Like you have the most interest. Obviously, it's part of your set as well. The most interesting mix. You're a Canadian citizen, but can you explain the crazy background you have? The mix, the ethnic mix.
Uh, well, ethnically, I guess I'm South Asian, if that is an ethnicity.
Yeah, but I mean the crazy part being to yeah.
Yeah, and my father's from Pakistan, my mother's from India, which is it's not that uh uncommon. I mean, obviously it's like not I wouldn't say it's common. It's not that uncommon in the sense that it's not like it doesn't happen a lot. It happens a lot. The only problem is that as political tensions uh there as like tensions increase, you know, it probably becomes less common. And also it's not that uncommon in my case because both my parents are Muslim. They come from like similar kind of families, right? It just so
Ah,
happens.
okay.
In fact, if you look geographically, my father's family moved from the northwest of India to
Kashmir.
Karachi,
Okay.
right? And where they moved from is not that far from where my mother's family is from, which is where my mother's family is from, and they stayed there. 1945 when there was partition and stuff, and like a lot of people were moving to Pakistan, and from Pakistan people were moving to India so that they could be in their respective like the correct country or whatever. So like geographically, it's not even that far apart where they're from originally, but then my father's family moved to Karachi, and then eventually like they met, I don't know, like in the 70s or whatever, at a wedding in Delhi.
Oh no way! Really?
So at the time, apparently it wasn't even that. I mean, because my dad he traveled to India for a wedding, someone else's wedding, I think it was.
Yeah, because
And
nowadays you can't, like you even told me, I think even as a Canadian citizen, it's hard for you, even though your mom is Indian, it's hard for you
yeah,
to go
so
to India.
it's not impossible. It's not so my brother, for example, he applied last year to fly to India. He got denied, right? So
That's great.
yeah.
Because of your father's.
So yeah, because they ask you where your parents are from, and they ask you specifically if your parents are from one of their so India has this thing where they have, I think, 5 or 6 countries that they border, and each one of the countries they have problems with. Yeah, China, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Afga- not Afghanistan, but Afghanistan is one of the countries they ask you about. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, but particularly and Bangladesh. So particularly Bangladesh and Pakistan, if you check those, and if one of your parents is from those countries, and from those countries means if they were born there or if they ever had a passport, citizenship. They also ask about your grandparents. So even if like my dad had been born in Canada, always Canadian, they would ask about my grandparents, and then that's
That's
how they would
crazy.
exactly. So, and because of that, they do what they call a security check. And usually for me, so I travel to India every year. It takes about 1 month, 1.5 months. I've always gotten it. My brother, he doesn't travel as often. He got rejected. We don't know why. They did
They don't
say
even give a reason.
they don't
Damn.
they don't they because they send it from the
How that go?
embassy to India, and then India sends a yes or no. So the embassy, what are they gonna know? You know,
Oh, I mean, was it during the time when there were again the escalations with the
it
no?
was actually before that. So
Mm.
I'm hoping I get it this year because I've applied now, and I was in Pakistan for the first time in 10 years in December for wedding, and also they had this little war in I guess March or April, whenever it was. So I'm hoping that these two things don't go against like don't like play against don't go against me in terms of them deciding whatever they want to decide. So
How was it? I mean, how is it different when you were in Karachi versus Delhi, or I think your mom lives in Lucknow, right? You
she
used to
lives
live
in
in Goa,
Goa now,
but
but yeah, she used to
Goa
live
now,
in
but
Goa.
Lucknow
Yeah,
before. Okay. But how's it different? Is it very because I'm just curious because I feel like and I talked to Abi actually about this who was on the podcast just like a week or so ago. I don't know. I'm just so curious because dude, the best audience at comedy shows is genuinely South Asians. They're just so they're amazing audience, super funny. Obviously, a lot of comedians, and they're always they let go, they let loose, they laugh out loud, and that's why they're awesome. And they just have a great sense of humor. So I wonder, first of all, what your theory is on why that is, where that comes from, because I mean, Asian culture generally is very strict, and when I compare, let's say, Indian and Chinese population, or East Asian and South Asian populations around the similar size. But just in terms of comedians, there's so many more South Asian comedians than East Asian comedians. So where do you think that comes from? And also, what do you see differences between India and Pakistan in terms of humor?
um well, yeah, so ironically about the about the like best crowds, I in my last show, which was at Kultur Sommer Wien, so the city, like, they organize a bunch of cultural events. I was on stage, and like 12 minutes in, this Indian guy puts his hand up, and I'm like, yeah, usually we don't take questions during the show, but please go ahead. And he's like, yeah, you're being very offensive. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you're not representing India properly. And I said, like, dude, I don't get paid by the Indian government. I'm not representing India. I'm representing myself. And he's like, no, it's very offensive, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he was super offended because of the jokes I was making. And you've seen my jokes. Like, I don't think that it is what it is, but I talked to him afterwards, and he was like very unhappy with the fact that I mentioned that it's crowded in India, and that like
How's that offensive?
as you were saying, like, they show their emotions, they let loose. Like, some of my jokes are like, the joke at which, it was like that the limit for him was when I made the joke about how, like, when the Viennese people who don't show their emotions, when they see their beautiful buildings, they're like, they all they say is like, oh yeah, it's okay. That's okay. Like, and then when the Indians see the beautiful buildings, they like start dancing. So like I do this whole bit or whatever. And that was a joke when I did the dance, because I actually do the dance because it's like super, it's like super hacky or whatever, but I do the dance. And that was the point at which he got super offended. And then, of course, when someone is like interrupts you, it's like a negative kind of thing. So you have to tell yourself, yeah, it's only once. And I was thinking about it, and I must have performed over the course of like all the sets that I've done. I must have performed for like 1,000 or 1,500 or maybe even 2,000 Indians in total, right? I performed last year at this Indian cultural event, the organized by the Indian Students Association. The embassy was there and everything. I did all the jokes there, and I was like a little afraid, like, maybe they'll take it politically, but people liked it. No one was offended. No one came up to me afterwards. So then I realized, okay, this guy, he's like, he's an exception to the rule. But you're right. a lot of the people they're I think yeah they have no problem laughing out loud. They have no problem showing their emotions. It's like part of the culture, kind of. They're also quite easygoing. I think Indians are easygoing. I don't know if it's because, especially if they've grown up in the West, people will like mock them for their food, for the like you get mocked as an Indian for your food, or for your how you smell, how your house smells, how you dress, probably things like that. And so like I guess you build up a thick skin. You don't. It doesn't really affect you that people are making fun of your food or whatever because you like the food, and the making fun of your smells because the smells are great, and
Yeah.
about you being nerdy because like presumably you have a good job um at the end of school. So um yeah, I feel like a lot of it, like, obviously there's exceptions, but I think a lot of Indians are like, the ones I meet, I feel like they let a lot of stuff roll off them. They don't take it so personally. They don't take it so seriously if you make certain jokes and things like that. And it might also have to do with the fact that even if you have a good life in India, you see a lot of like difficult things in terms of how people live and things like that. And I think that everyone knows, even maybe there's a certain level of economical class where you're like really untouchable, but like there you can there's any level in India you can like lose it all in a moment, because it's not as guaranteed as in other countries. Like you can have a political issue or a social issue or whatever, and you can lose it all in terms of your finances, in terms of your life. Like you can get, the chance for getting unlucky is like way higher, I feel like, in India, because it's a little more raw and stuff. So
Okay. Is there? I mean, is actually in Pakistan is the caste system also like a big deal, or is it?
um I mean, definitely not like the Hindu caste system, which is like an official thing, but there's definitely a caste system. So I don't know how much you would see it from the outside, but the way I see, I'm not like some expert or anything on like social political issues, but the way I see it in Pakistan is like they kind of transition from this like feudal lord system to this like political parties, which are basically just filled with like the ex feudal lords who happen to still own like all the property that they owned before. And like each political party is like run by the son or the daughter of like the previous leader. So it kind of like feels like they've called themselves democracy. They've called themselves secular, but it's really, or they don't call
I mean,
themselves
dude,
secular, but
I was
yeah.
thinking about it the other day. Like, isn't it crazy how in most countries, let's say in Europe or US, there's never been a female president, right? In the US, for example, but India and Pakistan had a female prime minister, I think, or president already in the 80s. I mean, that's 45 years ago.
Yeah, Malaysia
That's
apparently
insane.
also. Malaysia had at some point as well.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know how um often people in the West would say, "Ah, but let's say there's unfortunately a lot of Islamophobia." They're like, "Oh, it's um, it comes kind of across like arrogance, like, oh, they don't treat women right. We're much better." But then they themselves never had a female leader, whereas they in Pakistan there was one so many years ago.
Malaysia, majority Muslim country, in Indonesia, majority Muslim country, all have had female leaders.
Indonesia as well?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, Megawati in, I don't know when exactly, but I think in like 2000 or something like this.
Okay. Wait, when did you live there? Because you lived there. Wait, did you live there even during? I always forget because there are two long-term dictators, right? Sukarno, I think, and Suharto.
I think it was, you have to be careful because one of
Oh,
them is like the
not dictator.
founder of the country, and one of them
Oh.
is like the
Okay.
long-term dictator. I think it was Suharto was the dictator.
Okay. So wait, you were not there then, right? Obviously,
I
not
was there.
when
I
they
was
founded
there then.
but-
In fact, I was there when he was overthrown.
No way, really?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Oh,
there. I was there as a 10-year-old kid when he was overthrown.
how's that like?
That was crazy. It was in 1996, and like it must. So this is just from memory, yeah. So if I'm getting the dates wrong, please excuse me. But it seemed it was like something like, I guess if the school year ends in June, it was like 2 or 3 months before the end of the school year. So I guess in March, that we were hearing about there's riots in the city center. So our school was not quite in the center. I think it was a little bit outside, like let's say a 20-minute drive outside of the center. And we kept hearing there's like demonstrations, there's mass demonstrations in the city center. Students are demonstrating. And then like one day in school, in the middle of class, they say cut the class, everybody go to the assembly hall. So like the teachers, they stop class like at 11 or something, right? And we go to the assembly hall and we're just sitting there. They don't tell us anything, and they're like, okay, your parents are gonna come and pick you up once your parents are here, they'll pick you, or your cars, because the parents, you know. Anyway, so then we all get like taken home one by one, and then I remember getting home and I call my friends and we're like, yeah, what's going on? This is crazy, right? And then my dad, he says, yeah, we're evacuating you. And the next day, we're waking up at 4 a.m. We're driving to like a military airfield base, and they're going to evacuate you to Singapore. And so we go to sleep. We wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. and we driving like towards, like we're driving to this, like not the airport, like this military airport. We're driving towards and we're driving past like the mall that we used to go to, where we used to hang out and play video games and stuff. And there was a huge Toys R Us. There was the mall, like a Toys R Us, and then like this huge 2-story laser. I don't know if you ever worked, like, no, you heard about laser discs back in the day. That was when laser discs were big. It was like these big Schallplatten, like vinyl discs that had movies on them.
I was thinking of laser tag.
No, 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 laser
laser
disc.
disc is okay.
This is like old school. This was
Oh wow.
like between VHS and DVD was laser
Uh-huh.
discs. Yeah, they were these fat like discs. So we used to rent from this laser disc shop, and I still had 2 of their movies at home. The whole thing was burnt down to the ground. It was like it was gone. The Toys R Us building had this huge like Toys R Us logo broken.
Oh
Like
my god.
it was like broken. And I remember like we were driving through and I was like, oh my God, like this looks like a war zone, dude.
Yeah.
So we drove. I can't remember how long it took. It must have taken an hour or something to drive. And then we were at that um military base. We were like in a waiting room, and it was big. The UN had basically organized it for us. So we were there, and there was all these other kids of and the families of these UN people, and we were there for I think 16 hours. And what we did was we took a can and we flattened the can. And there were these 2 German, or like these couple of German kids. We flattened the can and we were playing football with like a flat can, like kicking it in like a certain, and like trying to, anyway. So that's what we did for like 16 hours. And then
Jeez.
we got evacuated to Singapore, and we were there
Wait,
for
wait.
like,
Was it like how was the evacuation like? Was it like I mean, why were you waiting for so long? Was there so
because
many people
so
that?
basically they said they mustn't have been able to, because keep in mind they organized this in 24 hours, right? Like we went home from school, and then they had already told my dad, like, tomorrow at 4 a.m. we're gonna send a car to bring you to the military base, and then from that military base we'll send you to Singapore. And I remember that, I don't know how long it took, but there was one plane that came and they took all the families with babies. And the second plane that came, they took the rest of the families.
Wow.
So
Wait, who's this? Like the Canadian government or the
No, the
UN?
UN organized it, and they must have organized it in collusion with like working, not in collusion. That sounds like so. That sounds so sinister. They must have worked with
In
like
partnership.
the
Yeah.
Indonesian government, the Singaporean government, or whatever
Damn.
to see, do you guys have an extra plane and whatever. And
Is that when you moved back to Austria?
no, because that was like the first. That was like the second year we were in Indonesia, and then the rest of the. So we spent, I think, a month in Singapore, or even 2 months in Singapore. They
You were
paid
just
for
in a
our hotel.
hotel?
Yeah, they
Really?
paid for.
Oh,
Yeah, they
dude.
paid. Exactly.
That's amazing.
It was awesome. And so Singapore is great because Singapore is like, even back then, it was so futuristic, kind of. It was like, it was clean. It was like being back in Vienna. The people are rude, so it's like really being back in Vienna. Hmm. And
Are they rude in Singapore?
huh?
Are they rude in Singapore?
They're super rude. Yeah, they're super,
Really?
yeah, they're super rude. Yeah, I like very much like in Vienna.
Yeah,
They're
Vienna's
just in the
very rude.
same way. And the great thing is there, you can walk everywhere, because that's something I miss in Jakarta. That's something that's great about Vienna and most European cities, is that you can walk anywhere. It's safe. The infrastructure is there, so that was great about Singapore. And we were there for like a month, and we would just go to the arcade, and they had always the newest games and stuff like that, and we would just go to the arcade and play video games and stuff. And the only thing is, you always had to carry your passport, because they're very strict in Singapore. And in Singapore, if you go before like 4 p.m. to the arcade, they check to see if you're a foreigner, because if you're not a foreigner, they're like, why aren't you in school, fool?
Oh, wow.
You have to show them you're a foreigner on holiday. Otherwise, they won't let you come in, because they assume you're skipping school. So,
Right. Were you in school in Singapore, or was it just one
no,
day,
we weren't
1 month
school.
off?
School was out, and I remember hearing about the people who were, because we were in 6th grade, and the people who were in 12th grade, who had like exams and stuff, who had their IB exams. They somehow had to do their IB exams then with the Singaporeans, like with the school and Singaporean school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So after you were there for a month, it was kind of like heaven. I mean, you were in a nice
Yeah.
hotel.
It was like chilly,
People with
yeah,
your can be all day. Nice. And then after a month, everything settled down or calmed down, and
Yeah.
you went back.
Yeah, then we went back, and then I'm pretty sure the summer holidays started. I am pretty sure that like we didn't go
Sweet.
back to school that year. So like we missed
Jeez.
a month or 2 months of school, something like this. Yeah.
But what happened in Indonesia? So the leader stepped down.
Yeah, the leader stepped down. He bounced, and he appointed an I think this is how I remember it. Yeah, I don't know if this is so accurate, but he appointed an interim president called Habibi, which is hilarious. That's such a great name. And I didn't speak Bahasa, I didn't speak the language, but people used to say that he was like an idiot. He would just say stupid stuff all the time.
Okay.
And he was, I think, an interim president, and then they just basically transitioned. It was like he was an interim, and then they had these elections. And it was like, we'll have elections like in a year, and in between, Habibi will be president. Something along those lines. And then they ended up having those elections. And I think that's when, if I remember correctly, that's when Sukarno's, meaning the founder of Indonesia, Sukarno's daughter was elected as president. That's how I remember it. I don't know if it's 100%
Dude, is it
accurate, but-
crazy that I know many countries have moved on for kingdoms, but so many countries have these dynasties, these family dynasties. You see it in Philippines, in Indonesia, in Korea. We had our first female president was the daughter of one of the longest running presidents / dictator. And it's like a dynasty. It's like the Kennedys in the US, or the Bush, I guess, in the US. It's so funny that so many have these. Yeah. It's like a kingdom, where it goes inside the family. But now it's just two families usually battling each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you look into a lot of the politicians as well in the EU and whatnot, you'll see that they also come from some kind of like, they're all
Family?
Yeah, exactly. The last I just read recently, like the British, they dismissed the British, they dismissed one of their diplomats, a U.S. ambassador. I don't know if he's
Oh my God.
currently the U.S. ambassador or if he was the U.S.
Yeah, he
ambassador,
was. He was. Yeah.
but they dismissed him because he was like, he had written this love letter to Epstein about how he can't wait until he comes out of jail or whatever, like this really creepy love letter. And the guy's name is Lord whatever. So like, and like Lord, I don't know if what exactly that means, if you're a knight or if you own land, but like it just basically means you're some kind of distinguished person, right? Who comes
Yeah.
from a family of.
Right.
So
Dude, did you know? Did you ever watch The Crown, the show?
I didn't know.
So you've heard of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the guy, he lived in Vienna. The guy who made the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was married to some Austrian. And I think their kids went to the school. It doesn't matter. Whatever. So, anyways, The Crown. Great show about the royal family, especially basically Queen Elizabeth's life, and it goes over decades. And there's a
Does it
character
start in
there.
Germany?
I'm sorry.
Does it start in Germany?
No, it doesn't start in Germany, but actually there's parts of it in Germany, yeah, because Prince Philip is partly German, I think. German,
I
Greek.
thought Queen Elizabeth was from Germany.
Well, their ancestors, yes, because
okay.
it's I forgot the name, but Hanover, right? I think something House von Hanover or something. But what was I getting? Oh, so Prince Charles, at some point you see Prince Charles, and one of the family members he loves the most is this. I think his name was his uncle. I forgot his name, Lord Mountbatten or something. Something like that. And in the show, he seems a bit like he's a guy. He's Tyrion from Game of Thrones, and obviously great actor. And then you're like, oh, it seems like a cool guy. He takes care of Charles. He seems nice, and then he tragically dies in a bombing. And you're like, oh. And then I looked him up on Wikipedia, and I might be wrong, but I think it was him. I checked, and apparently there was a huge CIA document, like 1,000 pages, of his time during the Second World War when he was stationed in Asia, where he routinely would order like 5-year-old boys to his bedroom. And so the CIA had like this huge document on him with all the proof and whatever. And obviously they did not include that in the show, and I was just thinking like, oh, dude, what the fuck? It's like the most creepy, like Prince Andrew, but far worse, maybe.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
And then completely erased it out of the show. But anyways, I just thought I don't know if that's even related in any case, but I mean, we're talking about the Mendelssohn guys, so I thought it's kind of crazy, right? It's just completely eradicated. They just erased it out of the thing, and then anyways, so I want to ask you about a
Let
bunch
me
of
ask you something.
What?
When did you start? How long ago did you start this podcast?
Dude, I just started like I think a month ago now, actually. I think literally a month ago in August I started. I want to have you on as first, so I asked you, but then we kept postponing, and then I had someone because I wanted to have you on first because we have the podcast together. And remember,
I love this. I love this setup you have, by the way.
thanks, dude. It didn't start out this way, and I mean, I can show you the setup, but I'm trying to make it look nice, but I feel like it's a bit unnecessary. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought you'd appreciate this. That's why I put him up there. Our biggest hero, Arnold. And I started around a month ago, and I loved when we did our podcast. It was awesome. And remember, you and I, we both said, hey, we would like to also we love the format of podcasting. Let's just make others as well. And then I was thinking, like, I would love to just talk to people, interview people. And then you also had an idea of doing like a history podcast, I think.
Yeah, man.
And wrestling podcast, I think, as well.
Huh?
I think you also wanted to do wrestling.
Yeah, so I didn't want to do a wrestling podcast, but I was like thinking about doing like profiles on interesting people, and then one of them was Vince McMahon. And I probably should have done it because I think it would have gotten like a huge boost after all the scandals came out about it. Although the problem is that I probably would have spoken about him pretty like in a pretty positive light, and then people would have been like, "Look at this guy, fucking like."
I mean, you didn't know obviously all the details.
Yeah,
of the-
for sure, exactly.
I think people also have to differentiate. Just in terms of building up the WWE, he did a great job.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Besides the scandals, of
and
course.
that's the thing. Also, I realize that people are if they have such difficulty. I mean, you see it a little bit with this Charlie Kirk thing, but we won't talk about this. But like, people have like this real difficulty about
It's like black and white.
yeah, black and white. Like you saw it a little bit with Chris Benoit, if you remember Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
And you see it a lot with Vince McMahon. You know, a lot of the top guys like John Cena are like, I'm sorry, the guy I knew, I love him. He gave me all these opportunities. My life wouldn't be anything like it is now if it wasn't for that guy. And he was always great to me. And people are like, how dare they? How dare they say that? Like,
Really?
how can they be defending a rapist? And it's like, dude, they're not defending a rapist. They're defending the person they knew, and the person they knew didn't,
Yeah,
didn't
they didn't know.
didn't like treat them like a sex slave or like offer them anything. The person they knew gave them a life where they're financially super successful, beloved by millions. In John Cena's case, a TV star, movie star. So
Dude,
what what how is he supposed to how can he say like that guy's like his dad basically, you know
I mean, because how did it go? So they sold WWE, and now Triple H is running it, right? Paul Levesque.
So
Paul Levesque.
I don't know if Triple H he probably does, but I don't know if he has any significant stake in it, like any. So the thing is, Vincent, like when Vince owned it, Vince had like something like I think 28% or like 30% or
Only?
or even 50%. But
Okay.
they do this thing like the people who, if you start a company and you make it public, you do this thing where like your shares are like Class A shares, and everyone else's, the public shares are Class B shares, and Class A shares count for like 2 votes for every Class B share. It's like they do all these like trickery things so that even if they have 21%, it's like effectively like 70% or something like that, right?
Right, in terms of voting rights, yeah.
In terms of voting rights and in terms of also profits and all of that stuff. So
Right.
him and his family together had like a majority thing. He personally had like 28 or 30 or 50%, something like this. And then his family members also, like his 2 kids and his wife had a certain percentage, which added up to effective control. And then they sold when he sold most of his shares when he sold most of his shares to this company that owns the UFC, he retained I think 6%, and they bought most of it. And then even this 6% he's basically been dumping now since the scandal came out.
Oh, okay.
Because
Wow,
they've
because-
frozen him out, and for whatever reason he's I've just been reading that like every couple of months he'll like sell a bunch of those shares. So for whatever
Okay.
reason he's kind of like getting rid of all of that.
Right.
And Triple H is the chief creative officer, if I'm getting it right. Then there's this other guy called something Khan, I forget his name.
Oh yeah, he's in the documentary, which I wanted to ask you about
Yeah,
actually. Have
exactly.
you seen it, Patano?
The Vince documentary.
No, that's also really good, but the
Oh,
newer
this
one,
Unreal. I haven't seen
Unreal.
it. No,
Oh,
I haven't
dude,
seen it.
so
No.
good.
It's good. Yeah,
Oh,
I haven't seen
dude.
it. No.
So I also wanted to ask, because funny enough, the 2 guys who brought me back into wrestling, and I'm not following it that much, but I used to like it as a kid, and then I lost touch with it, and then you were, dude, wrestling is the best, and then I started liking it more, and then I think it's really, yeah. Anyways, I appreciate it again so much more, and you and Sandy, and both you and Sandy grew up in Indonesia, so I wonder, is WWE like really big in Indonesia, or it's just unrelated?
No, I think it's unrelated. I think that when it was at its highest, it was it was like you could see it in Indonesia, but it wasn't like an Indonesian thing. It was, you had cable TV, and then you had like, I
Okay.
don't know, Star Sports or whatever channel it was, which plays in all of like South and Southeast Asia. So
Right. Dude, it's so bad. Like Unreal, I watch it and I really appreciate it. I always appreciated wrestlers because, especially after what you told me, that they work. I mean, they're on tour 350 days or so a year, and their injuries are real. I mean, they're hurting themselves for our benefit, for our entertainment, and they're really. I mean, they're amazing.
I mean, for good
And
money as well, but yeah.
yeah, but whatever. Still, and still, and even how. I remember growing up, people would joke, "Oh, they're the worst actors. Storylines are so fake, whatever." But who gives a shit? Like they do such good storylines of I watched Unreal, and I'm sure you've been following the real WWE, so you know. But the whole heel turn of John Cena,
Yeah.
oh dude, it's so good, and how they explain it, and they show the writers' room, how Paul Levesque and his executives
Have you
they talk
seen the
about. Dude,
actual
it's so
like?
good.
Have you seen the actual clip of when he turns when he becomes a bad guy?
You mean the
Like the
triple
actual,
threat? No, wait.
actual.
Oh. Wait, no. Sorry, I was thinking of what's the manager of ECW? Who's
Paul
that guy?
Heyman.
Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman. So he was with Roman Reigns, and then there was a triple threat between Roman Reigns and
Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes.
Seth Rollins and
CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Yeah.
And then Paul Heyman does the under like the crotch hits, whatever. And that was so good. And then
Bro, this story is like the greatest story ever. I freaking loved it. It's not even talked about that much, but it's like, it's so good.
it's so good.
Because
Who are you for?
I don't know. I don't think I have like, it's so good right now. Like there's not really one. What's great is that there's so many people firing on like all cylinders. And that's always when the show is best. When it's not about like one person or one story. There's several stories, there's several people. There's a good bad guy, there's a good good guy, there's a good
Yeah.
like guy in between who just wants to do his thing. There's all kinds of people
That's so
all
good.
over the place. And so it's really and
I
I
mean-
mean these guys are like, these guys, they present themselves and they're like superheroes, you know. So
Yeah. I mean, dude, just I saw on Netflix, I think it's tonight or the next days, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar at this Wrestling Palooza or something.
yeah, Wrestlapalooza or whatever they call it again?
Wrestlepalooza.
Wrestlapalooza, yeah.
It looks, and honestly, the WWE is so good at entertainment. I really think if sports, let's say the NBA, NFL, or European football, they would take some of the techniques from WWE. It would go haywire. They would go on,
Like
grow
chair
even
shots. Chair
like
shots.
it's very shot. No, but the storylines of the rivalries, how they built that up, the storylines, and the interview. I think everything will be so much better. You have to just add a bit of the entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's when like I don't know if what's it called? Drive to Survive or Drive to Success, or what is it called?
Right. Drive to Survive, yeah.
Drive to Survive. Wasn't that like it really gave a boost to the F1, right? Because they brought in a little bit of that drama, and they brought stories for all the people.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the drivers are like, yeah, my dad used to own a bank and he wanted me to take over, but then so like most of the stories is like, well, I'm a really rich guy, but then I was like, let me take a chance on driving.
Is that crazy? Usually people hate, these trust fund kids, but everyone loves its Formula One drivers, even though they're from the richest families. But it's
you know
because
why I think?
Why?
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No.
Yeah, I think it's because you've got some skill. Like everyone knows it's like super dangerous. It's probably less dangerous than it was like in the 80s, but it's super dangerous. You have to have like real skill. You have to be on point for, I don't know how long these races are, like 6 hours or whatever. You know, if you drive yourself, I mean, on the highway, if you drive, you're already like, there's a little bit of nervousness and whatever. And so imagine if you're driving at 3 times the speed and you're racing and stuff. So I think that people don't really give them, because I think what annoys people about trust fund kids and whatever is when they're like when the image of them is like they're just chilling at the beach and like limit,
Right,
uh,
right, right, right. Right.
just
And they're
doing
actually doing something. And they're
exactly
fit as
like,
hell. I mean,
and I mean, not even that is like a bad image of a trust fund kid. The bad image of a trust fund kid is someone who thinks they're the freaking best, but they haven't done anything to like actually prove it. And these F1 drivers, like they,
they're proven,
I
right.
mean, yeah,
Dude, I also interrupted you earlier. You were saying the Paul Heyman storyline is the best, or the heel turn, John Cena's heel turn is
so
the
good,
best.
man. Because like I don't know how, like obviously they don't do it on purpose, but they just have so much story. Like if you have a lot of story, if you have years and years uh that you can how do you say it? That you can like reference, you can create these amazing stories. So like CM Punk came into the WWE like 20 years ago because Paul Heyman recommended him, and then Paul Heyman like kept push, like he would like protect him so he wouldn't get fired. And then CM Punk, despite everything, despite being like not really what they wanted at the time, he became like this huge he became like the star, the biggest star. And so and then Paul Heyman left at some point, and CM Punk will, and when he left, CM Punk was like, I'm sorry, I know you need to leave, but I won't survive without you. This is when CM Punk's like 1 year into his WWE career. He's like, I won't survive without you. You need to stay. You need to help me, right? And Paul Heyman said, you will survive and you'll thrive. And when you walk down that aisle to the main event of WrestleMania, that's when you'll force them to bring me back, and I'll walk down that main event aisle with you. And then he left, right? Because he couldn't handle it, right? And so then CM Punk referenced this like 20 years later when he's like, this will be my first main event in WrestleMania. And you told me those words that that I would force them to bring you back, and you would walk down with me. And so I'm cashing in that promise now. But in the last 3 years, Paul Heyman had become like the closest advisor to Roman Reigns, who's like, godlike Samoan wrestler, untouchable. He's firing on all cylinders. He's killing it. He's got his wise man, he calls him, who does all the backstage politics for him, who's whatever. And so like, he's like, bro, Paul is not gonna. He's not gonna walk down the aisle. He's gonna walk down the aisle with me, right? But then Paul's like, I'm sorry, it's a promise to my best friend, and I can't. He says no for the first time to
Oh,
his
damn.
rival chief. And so Roman Reigns, for the first time in 3 years, is like, he's like crying. He's like shattered, like, and in the middle is Seth Rollins, who loves this, who loves the fact that like these two are having this emotional battle, because he's going in like strong mentally, and these two guys are going in weak because they're fighting over this like, fat old man. And then the way the story went, actually ended up going, was that Paul Heyman betrayed the both of them
To go Seth Rollins.
So it was like the greatest thing ever. It was so
Dude,
good. It was
that's
like,
so good.
it's so good.
Dude, also the
He-
heel turn, I remember The Rock was involved, right? Because he's the board member or something, board of directors. And then he does that move to John Cena when he's hugging Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it was so, in the documentary, they showed really well. And I thought it might ruin some of the magic, but I thought, no, actually it enhances it. At least for me, it was amazing.
Yeah,
It's so well planned.
So like I instead of watching the shows because it's too much time commitment.
Yeah.
What I do is I go to this forum on Reddit, and a lot of the people are like, "Whoa, what the hell, man? Magicians shouldn't show their tricks," and you know what I mean. So so I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I probably will watch it at some point. I don't know, but I mean, they're still doing good, so it's not hurting their business. So
Yeah, I think they're doing really well. And also, dude, what I really appreciate is I remember at the time, because I still think one of the best video games is the wrestling game, 2K. Wrestling, no, not 2K, wrestling
WWE
THQ.
2K or
Yeah, WWE 2K, exactly. And then, that was a great game. I always played Royal Rumble and stuff. And I remember when I played the game and also when I was watching WWE, the female wrestlers were more like a side note. And now they're actual superstars.
They're
And they're some
huge.
of the best wrestlers.
Yeah, they're huge. And dude, I feel so bad for the opponents of I forgot her name, but with the long hair.
Oh, the woman with the long hair. That
Yeah,
really
she's
like
really good.
that really like how do you say that's really like that's such a specific characteristic of a woman is
No, but
the
you know
woman
the
wrestler. The woman
who
with the long
whips
Bianca Belair, yeah, the one who
Bianca
whips her.
Belair.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
dude, I feel so she's awesome, and but I feel so bad for her opponents because she actually whips them, and apparently it's not a sound effect. That's what they say in the in Unreal, the documentary. It's actually the sound of the whipping, and you can see the whip,
The bruises.
scar basically.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
dude, it looks that's crazy. I mean, well, respect to all the wrestlers, really incredible. So, do you watch some of it though, like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble?
Yeah, so like I think I watched I did watch last year's WrestleMania where where Paul Heyman low blowed CM Punk.
Man, yeah,
And then he took the chair and he hit Roman Reigns with the chair.
oh man,
So I watched that WrestleMania. Was that also the WrestleMania where Cena did the? No,
no,
he had done it before already.
No, yeah, but they had a fight. They
He had a fight, and then
yeah.
and then the stupid Travis Scott came out. That was terrible. Oh my god. Yeah, that was terrible. It was really bad. But it was good that John Cena won, but the way he won was just it was so stupid. It didn't make any sense. But
But John Cena is now is he turning a face again, becoming a face?
He already did. He already did.
Okay.
He already did, yeah. But
Oh, man.
I watched, so I did watch WrestleMania, and then I like sometimes often watch the Royal Rumble. So I'll watch like 3 shows a year, and then there's this other company called AEW, and I'll watch their, like, I think their biggest pay-per-view is All In or All Out. I'm not sure, one of the two. Because they have both. I'm not sure which one is the
okay.
I'm not sure which one is like the marquee one. So I watched that, and they came to Vienna. Not AEW, WWE came to Vienna in, I think it was like 3 weeks before, or like 2 months before WrestleMania, or a month before WrestleMania. And I went to that show as well. So that was great. That was really
What were the big names?
the big names. So Seth Rollins was there, CM Punk was there, Gunther, of course. Gunther.
Of
if you know
course, yeah.
Gunther.
Of
Yeah.
course. Isn't that cool? He was also in WrestleMania. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's huge. He's huge. He's massive.
That's awesome.
Gunther. And like everyone loves him. Like the Undertaker's like, that's my guy.
Really?
Yeah. They love that
Oh
guy.
shit.
So Gunther was there, and
What's his
then
storyline? I still know him from what's the next? Was it NXT?
NXT, yeah.
Yeah, I watched it with Sandy when he was in NXT, and now he's a WWE superstar.
Gunther is recently he had won, I think he won the World Heavyweight Championship back because he lost it at WrestleMania to, who did he lose it to? To Jey Uso. He lost,
I think Jey Uso, yeah.
and
Yeah.
then he won it from Jey again like 6 months later. But I think he lost. He clearly must have lost it again because Seth Rollins has it now. So I'm not sure exactly how he lost it or who he lost it to. Yes, then he feuded with CM Punk, and CM Punk and him had a feud. They were like fighting, and then they had this pay-per-view fight. He lost to CM Punk, and then Seth Rollins came because he had this contract. He cashed in and won it off CM Punk. And I think Gunther must be taking time off now. Because he lost the World Heavyweight Championship and he's taking time off now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah, but he's the freaking man. He was awesome. He was in the main event with CM Punk. He whooped his ass, and then who else was there? There were a lot of really cool wrestlers. Rhea Ripley, if you know Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, of course.
Like the Jack Goth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She's awesome.
She was there, and The Miz was there. Legenda.
The Miz, Legenda.
He's so funny.
Was Mysterio there? Yeah, he was my favorite.
No, unfortunately, Rey Mysterio was not there, but
Dominic
Dominic
also, no?
Mysterio was there.
Really?
Dominic Mysterio was there.
Dude,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cool. And they pitted them against each other, right? I think.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, even they pitted them
Okay.
against each other, and now they just tweet at each other. Like,
Okay.
uh,
So they were actually fighting in the ring against each other, father and son.
2 years ago they had a
Wow.
WrestleMania match, and Rey Mysterio spanked him. So and people loved
Damn.
it. Yeah, people loved it.
Dude, Rey Mysterio 619. Also,
Yeah, but now
coolest thing ever.
Dominic Mysterio is like becoming a fan favorite, despite
Yeah, I
his
heard that. Yeah.
yeah, despite his disrespectful behavior to his father, he's becoming like, it's kind of nuts because he's the a lot of times the child of a wrestler, especially such a popular wrestler, will come in and they can't live up to it. It's like it feels kind of, that they're just not the same. But with Dominic Mysterio, he's so young and he's so good and he's so different. I guess that's what the big thing is. His name is Dominic Mysterio, but like he's got really nothing to do with the whole. He's not really wearing a mask. He's not really. He does speak Spanish, but he doesn't really like push the whole like lucha libre for like that kind of stuff. So he's got his own character, and I think that's what makes him stand apart.
Does he do the 619?
He does the 619. But I think he has another finisher that's actually his finisher. I think his 619 is more like a setup to his finisher.
Okay. Oh, dude, it's the 619 is so cool.
So
Oh
cool, yeah,
man.
yeah. I remember. So your brother-in-law Banya, I remember like it must have been 10 years ago. I said, hey man, let's meet up at your place and watch Elimination Chamber. And we watched Elimination Chamber with him, Sam. Maybe Nikki was there, but it was like 3 or 4 of us, and we watched Elimination Chamber. And like none of these guys watched wrestling. And at the to this day, Vanya will be like, "Hey man, when's the next time we're watching a wrestling event? I just love Rey Mysterio. He was like, this small guy like woo, 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 flying around and stuff. Everybody loves Rey Mysterio, man. You can't.
He's so cool. Dude,
he's the freaking
undeniable. 619 is the best
and he's
finisher.
been going
So
since
good.
like the mid-90s. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Crazy. Elimination Chamber is also a cool. Dude, it would be fun to watch together. It would be really fun. We've never watched.
Yeah, why don't we do live review podcast?
Sure. Sure. The Kimchi Curry WrestleMania watch party.
Exactly. I love these live reviews where people
You can't see
the
the screen. Yeah.
you're in the corner like and then they're like, oh, he did the 619. That was cool. We could do that, but there'd be 2 of us, right?
They film for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That moment. Dude, I did this with Sandy during the COVID WrestleMania. We actually did a watch party, and that
Yeah.
was basically it.
Imagine. Oh, John Cena turned heel. Crazy.
I'm sure in
That's
that moment you
hilarious.
do go wild though, but still, that it's some fucking 4 hours just for that moment. Man, it's amazing. Anyways, we're going overtime, dude. I'd love to continue next time, another time, if we're up for it, and
For
talk
sure,
more
dude.
wrestling,
For
talk
sure, dude.
more comedy. Just more comedy and everything. So, dude, thanks so much for being on. Thanks for introducing me
man.
to.
I hope I wasn't too sniffly, too coffee.
Not at all.
Trying
Not
my
at all.
best.
That was absolutely amazing. Dude, where can people check out your?
I have my little. I don't know if this tag will be at the finished product, but I have my little tag over there. That's how you'll find me. Everything Instagram.
Ali the Hasnain.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I still watch it like every few months. That one video, it always cracks me up when you do like a voiceover of like the Batman voice
Oh,
Oh.
where?
for our show, for the Kimchi Curry Christmas show. That was recorded when you were missing it so much, and it was like oh, dude, I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing,
Bro,
Yeah,
I did find the video of me bombing at that one show we were talking about in Berlin. But I don't know if I share it, if like it'll show the if we'll hear the audio. Should I try it quickly?
It's all good. I can put it in there, and then
You want to put it in?
people can
Okay.
watch it.
Should I-
Sure, if you're up for it.
Okay.
I think I still have it because I also am filming and sending it to you, so I must. I must
Okay,
have
yeah,
it
you
in
can
my
put it. But I
iCloud,
did
yeah.
like this really nice clip where it zooms in on all the people. Like,
Really?
yeah. I'll send you the link afterwards, and then you can see if you,
All right,
if you
awesome,
want to
awesome.
put it in. Yeah.
Okay. Dude, it's the best. I love it. Dude, it's awesome to talk to you as always. Dude, if you're up for it, I mean, this podcast is also very casual. Just obviously talking. So if you'd love to be on again, I would love it. Absolutely love it. And yeah, great seeing you, man. Good best of all.
Great seeing
Hope
you,
you feel better
dude.
soon.
Great
We
talking.
didn't even get to talk to you about Goggins. So, anyways, I'd love to. I had so many questions there.
Yeah, for sure, dude. We'll
Yeah.
talk about Goggins, man. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
because he
Goggins.
changed your life. You're super fit because of him. And yeah. Anyways, dude, love seeing you. Talk to you soon.
See you soon, bro. Have a good one.